Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live in color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. Welcome back to another edition of the show. And I know we're starting the graveyard later than usual on a graveyard shift. That maybe nobody will show up. I'm not sure. But honest to God, good brother, good friend of the show, and a multi-time guest, Mr. Brian White. It was his birthday tonight. And it was a surprise, so I had to kind of be there. We had a very, very nice time, chilled at Outbacks, got some steaks, good times, good vibes. Happy birthday to you, brother. And, you know, I figure I start this show off a little bit differently than usual because this past weekend, I attended my first horror convention in years. I mean, you're talking 7 to 8 years since the last horror convention I went to. In the past, I'd been at Monster Mania 25. And Monster Mania 27. Fast forward, 23 Monster Manias later, and I attended Monster Mania number 50 this past weekend. And I figure I show some of the stuff that I picked up, maybe some of the pictures that I took there, because I met some awesome people. And one of those awesome people I met was none other than the Hitman, Ryan Snyder. What's going on, brother? Dude. Had an excellent weekend last weekend with you, man. Thank you so much again for the invite. It's such a great time chilling with you, finally getting to meet you in person, having Philly cheesesteaks and hole-in-the-wall places and meeting Dick Warlock. I mean, it was a really fun weekend. It really was. So thank you, man. I appreciate it. King Igor's in the house. Hey, my dude. Is that Zaddy? Is that Zaddy in the Heezy? We got the summertime slashing coming. Is it either tomorrow or Saturday? I'm not sure. Is it tomorrow? I'm not sure which day it is, but I'm super excited. I know it's either Friday or Saturday. So I am super excited about that, man. Welcome, Mr. King Gore. But I figure I got a couple fun photos. I got a couple fun pickups I show before we get into the episode tonight, which is the Exploitation Explosion Volume 2. Yes, of course, a year ago, we did the Exploitation Explosion Volume 1. We talked about sexploitation in the legendary film The Devil's Honey. We talked a little bit exploitation with blood-sucking freaks, and we talked even more exploitation with a little movie called Schoolgirls in Chains from the legendary John Jones. Tonight, we've got a triple feature. We've got a triple feature here, and I've got it here before the pickups. We've got Hobo with a Shotgun, which I'm super excited to discuss. We've got the Candy Snatchers, and finally, The Woman. Yes, so we're going to be talking all things Exploitation Explosion Volume 2 tonight. I am super excited to be live in a living color with y'all. Aiden Vabra's in the house. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Glad you could join us this late. Ty Junebug's in the Heezy third. Welcome, my friend. Coming Saturday. Fire. Can't wait, man. It was a fun time recording with you, and I think people are going to like that. But first and foremost tonight, let's show the Monster Mania pickups because why not? First and foremost, this was the one I really was looking for when I went there because I do not own a signature Jason hockey mask. And I had to get one for my favorite all-time Friday the 13th film. This is the NECA Friday the 13th Part 5 mask. This is really cool. Of course, I took it out of the box, so don't freak out because I have something else from NECA in the box that you're all going to like to see. But this is the Friday the 13th Part 5 Hawk. Has some nice weight to it. It's really nice to feel. Of course, if you know me, you know Friday the 13th Part 5 is my favorite. So I had to get the Part 5 mask. So fun story, though, with this. I'm walking around the convention. Ryan was with me. He was right next to me. And I told him, I said, I got to get a Jason mask. And he wanted to get a Michael mask. He got the Michael mask. I was searching for a Part 5 mask. Now, we walked past this guy with really nice masks on a display out front. And I said, hey, how much for that Part 5 when it was dab in the middle, right in the middle? He goes, $135, $145, $155 for the 3 sections of masks he had. And I didn't really tell him this, but in my head, I kind of told the guy, go fuck himself. I was like, go fuck yourself. $145 for a mask? That's insane. Unless it's signed by fucking Shavar Ross and Miguel Nunez and fucking Pam and fucking, the guy who played Tom Shepard and fucking Tom Morga. It was fucking insane. I was like, no way. We walk not 30, 40 feet down the fucking aisle, and we see a guy with this mask, the same exact mask in a box for $40. And I said, sold. Signed, sealed, delivered. We got me a Friday 5 mask. So I'm super excited to finally have a actual hockey mask to the collection. If you got to feel it, it has a nice weight to it. Ryan was feeling it when we were online for Dick Warlock. And I got to show, we actually ran into a Michael Myers, of course, cosplayer while we were online. Here, I got a picture up here. Let's see. I think it was this one. Yeah, so this is me and of course Michael from Halloween 2 while we were waiting online for Dick Warlock. You can see, I believe this is Ryan in the background here. Oh geez, I just dragged this tab. I think this is Ryan right here. Me and Ryan were waiting online to meet Dick Warlock, and I was like, dude, Michael from part 2, that's my favorite Michael. So I had to take a picture with the masks on. And cool enough, Dick Warlock actually held this up in the picture. I have it here too. So I'll be showing that fairly soon. But yeah, that's the part 5 mask that we got. So a lot of cool stuff coming Saturday. Need to check out Candy Snatchers. Dude, very fun movie. I'm excited to get into it in a little bit. Absolute fucking ripoff. I agree with you, man. That's badass, dude. Thank you, man. Yeah, no, it's a long time coming. It was really a long time coming for me to get a Jason mask. It was kind of just like something I had to do. But cool enough, I Friday the 13th part 5 to the fuck out because we also got the Friday the 13th part 5, A New Beginning NECA figure of Roy. So this is kind of the opening here. This is the old school video poster, of course, with the glowing red eyes and the Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 hockey mask, not the classic Jason mask. We've got, of course, Roy on the side here. And then, of course, this opens Velcro style to the Friday 13th part 5 figure, which is so freaking badass. And I don't know how good of a glare this will have, but basically you have all the stuff that he uses to kill in the movie. You have the flare, the garden shears, a knife, a cleaver to take off Ethel's head. You have even stuff down to the machete. Of course, here you have the twig and the rope or the belts that he uses to tie the guy's eyes together. Very cool stuff. And then on the back, it shows you like all the stuff that you can do with the illustrious instruments of torture and killing that are coming with this NECA figure. This is a really cool pickup. I am a huge fan of that movie, and so I had to. I also have the Sam NECA figure from Trick or Treat, and that's like one of my prized possessions as well. I absolutely love this movie, so I had to get this NECA figure. This was like a very must own for me. So yeah, no, I thought it went perfectly with the part 5, theme here. I kind of part 5 the fuck out. Because at a horror convention, you're going to see mainstream stuff. And when I go mainstream, I still have to go obscure. And that's Friday the 13th Part 5, a movie that a lot of people hate, but I think it's the perfect slasher movie in my opinion. So, yeah, Friday the 13th Part 5 to the fuck out. So that was a lot of fun. Let's see. His Eyes might be the best song on the Friday the 13th film and awesome NECA figure. Thank you. And thank you. I agree completely. I love the His Eyes song. It's just so amazing. But I also got a couple other fun pickups. Now, we did meet Dick Warlock. And, of course, if you pay for the autograph, you get a free picture. And I got this bad boy signed. This is my favorite kill of the entire Halloween franchise, signed by Dick Warlock, H2, in blood red color. Of course, him killing Nurse Janet. Thought this was an awesome picture. He had a lot of fun pictures on his table. He had him and Kurt Russell in Escape from New York. He had, stills of him in Jaws. Of course, him in Halloween 2. And I had to just go with my favorite Halloween movie and my favorite Michael Myers is Dick Warlock. So it was really cool to meet him. I also have the picture here that I could share with you guys. Let's see. I believe it is this one. I think it's the 05. Yeah, it's this one. That is me and Dick Warlock. Holy shit. I could try to make this. Yeah, no, I can't really make it that much. Can I make it bigger? Yeah, let's see if we can make it a little bit bigger for you guys. Here, down here. That's me and Mr. Warlock. Very cool, very nice guy. It was surreal meeting him as well because he's done a lot of movies. I mean, Halloween 3 is another big one, and he's 82 years old, and the guy still looks fairly good and in really, really good shape. So it was really cool to meet him. Me and Ryan waited, I would say 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes online, and there was a lot going on around us. I mean, fun cosplayers, stuff like that. The thing with a convention that I like is the camaraderie. Like conventions have wonderful camaraderie to them. Like it's an amazing atmosphere to see people that love the things that you love and, talk about the things that you like to talk about and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. We saw Danielle Harris was in the booth next to us looking beautiful, even at age 40, whatever that she is, still looks amazing. Of course, Lance Guest and Leo Rossi was to the left of them. So that was cool. And Dick Warlock was the nicest guy ever. I mean, he was so nice, signed this, held up my Friday 13th Part 5 mask, which funny enough, he was the stunt coordinator on that film. So it was cool to kind of meet him and, have a couple words with him. And he also got a picture with Ryan and an autograph to Ryan. So that was really cool. Dick Warlock, super nice guy. And this was a cool pickup to kind of finally meet him. Let's see. That's badass, dude. And get that framed as soon as you can. I will. I have my Steve Dash one framed over there. Dick Warlock is a legend, and in my book, and his contribution to Carpenter's films are legendary. Totally agree, man. Dick Warlock, that's my porn name. Hell yeah, Mr. Zetro's in the house. Labyrinth UFC Breakdown's in the house. What's going on, good brother? You know, I recently realized my favorite Friday movie is Part 2. I don't care that there was no goalie mask. Well, funny enough, you know what? I mentioned Steve Miner. I've got it right here. This was from the first Monster Mania I ever went to. 25 Monster Manias ago, I actually met the late Steve Dash, and he personalized it to me. Cool enough. So now we've got Mr. Steve Dash, and soon enough, I'll get a frame for Mr. Dick Warlock. So pretty cool stuff. I don't know. If any Friday the 13th Part 2 fans, you got to love this. And Friday the 13th Part 2 is definitely in my top 5 of the series. It might even be in my top 4 of the series. I mean, it's one of my favorites for sure. I love Friday the 13th Part 2. And welcome, Mr. UFC Breakdown. I figured, I was like, man, you're mentioning that. I was like, I got to pull that out of the fucking wickets here, man. That's awesome stuff. But I also got a couple other things, nothing big, nothing crazy. I got this. Now, this was funny. You know, you go to a horror convention, every now and again, you're going to run into some wrestling stuff. And I'm I used to be a diehard wrestling fan. And I saw this, and the guy was like, literally, quote unquote, he's like, I'm trying to get rid of this. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers, if not the greatest of all time. This is Mr. Chris Jericho. Yes, and it's a little Chris Jericho plaque from, I believe, the year 1999. This is right around the time where he debuted on SmackDown. And of course, he had the infamous Raw promo where the countdown clock, counted down, and The Rock and him interacted. And what is your name? I told you, it doesn't matter what your name is. I mean, it was one of the great debuts of all time as Y2J brought himself into the WWE and into the new millennium. And it was such an awesome debut for Chris Jericho. I'm a huge fan. And don't let the price tag fool you. I didn't pay $13 for it. I said, if you're trying to get rid of it, man, $13, you ain't trying hard enough. And he goes, what do you got? And I was like, how's $5? And he goes, $5 is fine. I go into my wallet. I had all 20s and 4 singles. And I handed the guy 4 singles. I said, oh, shit, you're going to have to break my 20. He goes, you know what? I'll survive. I had a good convention. So he let me have it for $1 cheaper than that. So $4, I get this really cool Chris Jericho plaque. I'll be honest, it looks better on camera than it does in person. And it's scratched the fuck up. I don't know if the motherfucker had a cat or something, but it's scratched to hell. But I feel like it'd be fine if I threw this on the wall somewhere. Like, I've got my mini poster of Empire Strikes Back. I felt like that would be a really cool place to kind of throw this up. I also have an autographed picture from Chris Jericho and Randy Orton over there. I could put it next to that. So I don't know. I thought this was kind of a neat little pickup. Nothing crazy, nothing expensive or anything. And it probably wouldn't mean a lot to most people, but being the big wrestling fan that I used to be, I had to pick up something a little bit wrestling related. And why not Y2J? So got some Chris Jericho merch. Very cool. And of course, last but not least, you go to a horror convention, you got to get some moosies, right? You got to get some moosies. We got a couple of moosies. Now, first and foremost, this is a one that we're going to be talking about very soon on the show. One that I've been meaning to pick up because I didn't get in on the limited edition. That was like $60. So I saw the standard edition for 25 bones. And I said, hells yeah. Because this is The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, a.k.a. my favorite all-time title in horror film history. Wait a minute. No, I fucked this up. So it's Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, a.k.a. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. I don't know why my brain just paused. It was like, what the fuck are you trying to spit out here? But no, this is from Synapse, of course. I've heard this looks amazing. I believe it's a 4K Blu-ray transfer, so it looks incredible from what I've heard. I know a lot of people have the deluxe edition that was like $60 with that purple cover. It looks amazing. I didn't get in on that. It's out of print now. So I figured, fuck it, I'm going to get on the standard version. In just a few weeks, we're going to do an international zombie episode. And this is one of the movies I'm going to be covering. One of my all-time favorite zombie movies in my top 5, and a movie that I would say is the bastard cousin in between Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. Like, it's that movie that's like right in between. It's like, man, that's the one that stands out so big in the era between Night and Dawn. So that's one that I had to pick up. I love this movie. Really excited to check out the transfer because I've heard nothing but fucking great things. So we will be checking this one out. And last but not least, it's only the greatest movie of all time, in my opinion. And I did not own a VHS copy of this. I, of course, have the Blu-ray and the Ultimate Edition DVD set, but I figured I gotta add the VHS to the collection. This is the greatest horror movie of all time, the greatest movie of all time, George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. Yes, Dawn of the Dead, of course, my all-time favorite movie. This is the HBA Canon video. And I don't know, this is just one that, of course, it is a little ripped. Like I knew I was kind of eating a little money here. It was like $10, but it is my all-time favorite movie. I like the old school big ass green text on the side. And then of course, the giant VHS classic description on the back, still with the tag on it. I don't know. I thought this was kind of cool. It's my all-time favorite movie. So I saw this and I went, you know what? It's my favorite movie. I'll buy every version of it that I see. It's one of those that I couldn't really hesitate. So wanted to add Dawn on VHS. I've got to add the 4K to the collection one of these days. But I don't know. I really like this. I know there's 100 different VHS tapes of this. But this one, I was just like, you know what? I want to just say I have the VHS of Dawn of the Dead just because it's my favorite all-time movie. Like I just had to do it. So hopefully I can watch this one day and, watch through the grain and the darkness and things like that. No more spoiling me with the Blu-ray transfers and all that. But all seriousness, it's really cool to pick this one up. And I like that Scott Reiniger is front and center, rising from the dead, like the sun is rising in the background. I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know. Dawn of the Dead VHS. Very, very cool stuff. Let's see. Hobo Slasher Fred's in the house. Hobo with a Shotgun originally began as a fake trailer. Yes, we're gonna get into all that. No worries. That could be my copy of Dawn. Oh, really? You have the same VHS? That's really cool. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. The legendary line by Ken Foree, one of my all-time favorites. But one more quick thing about the convention before we get into the Exploitation Explosion Volume 2. We're sitting at the bar, Ryan and me. They have all sorts of drinks, like, the Woodsboro, the Woozy, all these things. Actually, I have two stories. Sorry, I want to get this story. And then I also have a shout out to the legendary Night Watch Zone because I finally met him and I got a picture. So we're sitting at the bar. Ryan orders a drink. We have some people around us and everyone's like, oh, we should sit down at a table because there was only two. Me and Ryan were at the end of the bar. And fucking a guy taps me on the shoulder and it's fucking Kane Hodder. And I turn around and I go, Kane. And he goes, what? And it was very funny that me interacting with fucking Jason Voorhees himself. He goes, hey, you going to sit over there? Or I want to sit here. And I was like, okay. Ryan didn't know what was going on. And then, of course, Ryan I think he was going to get him for another drink or something. I get up and Ryan turned and he must have been like, Kane Hodder, holy shit. And then we're sitting at the table. Ryan comes back over. We're like, holy shit. And we were like kind of fanboying out. It was kind of cool. And fun fact, I am taller than Kane Hodder by quite a bit. So I thought that was cool. I'm taller than Jason, taller than fucking Michael Myers, Dick Warlock. So I thought that was kind of cool. But very cool little interaction there. We saw, Braun Strowman. We saw Greg Nicotero. All of them were at this fucking bar. Greg Nicotero, he looks like fucking Willie Nelson in real life. Me and Ryan were making fun of him. We're like, Willie, but nicest fucking guy. And his Q&A was wonderful. Zach Galligan did a fun Q&A. Deborah Hayes, who a lot of people don't even know, she's the first victim of Mrs. Voorhees in the original Friday the 13th. She did a fun Q&A. And like she had never done a convention 42 years removed from the movie. So it was really cool hearing from her perspective. Like she said, she didn't think any of the movie. She just wanted to get the SAG card. And of course, becomes one of the most infamous opening kills in the history of horror movies. And she didn't even know about the real like boom of the film. She didn't know about the series until her grandkids told her. So I thought that was cool. I don't know. I'm one of those guys. I love hearing stories like that. And this Q&A I thought was just wonderful. I was like, this is such a cool Q&A. Zach Galligan was the coolest guy in the world. I don't know. I really liked to listen to all those Q&As, and we met a bunch of fun people, ran into a bunch of fun people. It was a lot of fun time. But the main one here, before I want to get to the comments really quick, Indie Phantom's in the house. What's going on, Indie Phantom? Welcome to the graveyard, my friend. I have old double VHS copy special edition, and of course the DVD special edition and Blu-ray. I have all those too. I don't have the 4K yet, because I figured the bullshit with the features disc being region locked, that was the big, like, damn it, like I want to be able to watch the features disc. So I held off on the 4K. I'm hoping one day we get a region 1 release of it, but I know Richard P. Rubenstein holds it up for crazy money. Great classic. Thank you, man. Completely agree. Willie fucking Nelson. Ryan, he walked past Ryan and he goes, that's fucking Willie Nelson. It was really funny. And also, there's a part where me and Ryan were looking at masks, and this fucking motherfucker comes next to me in a suit, in a purple suit. And I look at him and I'm like, is this supposed to be like Austin Powers and Goldmember? It's what I thought it was. He had a wig on and the big glasses. I was like, this is Austin Powers. So I nudge the guy and I go, hey, man, Austin Powers, very cool cosplay. And I ruined this motherfucker's day. He turned red and just frowned and was like, I'm not Austin Powers. He wasn't Austin Powers. And this motherfucker, I thought he was going to cry. You know, he texted his friends after and was like, this fucking four-eyed fuck thought I was fucking Austin Powers, this son of a bitch. He was from some random obscure anime that I've never heard of. And I was like, yo, no offense, like, you're at the wrong convention. This is not an anime convention. This is a bunch of fucking Michael Myers and Jasons. You're not gonna fucking see a Jason at a fucking anime convention. Come on. Like, that was my defense, but I did feel kind of bad that I mistaked the guy for fucking a different Mike Myers, if you will. Very funny shit, though. Nice, crazy shirt. Shit is popping. Thanks, man. It matches the color of this. Well, maybe it's a little lighter, but I don't know. I like this little, like, different color theme I could do on the bottom here. I thought that was a lot of fun. Love the posters. How cool are Sleepaway Camp 1s? I need a good reprint of Sleepaway Camp 2. It's just a VHS classic. Oh, man, dude, completely agree. And Ryan knows this. I was searching that convention for the original one sheet of Sleepaway Camp 2. This is the one sheet of Sleepaway Camp 3. Of course, you can see it stores November 16th. The paper, if you feel it, like, you can tell it's the original video poster. I have been looking forever for that Sleepaway Camp 2 video poster, because if I did, I'd flip these around. I'd probably put April Fool's Day in my room, signed by Amy Steele, cool enough. I'd put this one here and then Sleepaway Camp 2 here. That's like the holy grail. If anyone ever sees that one sheet and you don't want it, please let me know, because I would drop bread on it. I told Ryan what I'd drop on it. So I'm not kidding around. That's like my holy grail of posters, because I've never, ever, ever seen it for sale one time. So that's one of those, like, I definitely really want. Hey, what's up, Grande? I'm not Austin Powers either. I know you're not the international man of mystery. I know you are not the spy that shagged me, but you are the legendary Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the graveyard, man. Glad to have you on. Oh, wow. You got an original. Yeah, no, really cool. And I got it for like 75 bones. This is years ago. I got this. This is also a one sheet too. Both of these are one sheets. And then I have a lot of my reprint. Like, this is a reprint of Clockwork Orange. I have a reprint of Dawn, a reprint of Maniac, a reprint of Day. Like, I have a lot of reprints too, but I always want to put the one sheets front and center. That's first and foremost priority. And I've got a couple of one sheets in my bedroom. I have some really cool one sheets. Even the one sheet of Sleepaway Camp 2, they scanned for Scream Factory seemed a bit off. Yeah, no, that's a shame, man. And I was thinking about getting that too. And of course, those are long out of print now. Like, good luck getting them now. The Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 Blu-ray sold this convention we went to for $150 a pop. So that's a little expensive. I know Ryan was trying to get them, but unfortunately he couldn't. April Fool's Day is also amazing. Thank you, man. Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan. But I wanted to mention this guy because it is a long time coming. This guy's done a lot for my channel, and he's none other than Mr. Nightwatch Zone. I actually got the chance to meet him while he was waiting online for a photo op at the convention. I have the tab up here. Let me just share this really quick with you guys. Yes, and I can zoom this in a little bit. This is me and the legendary Nightwatch Zone. We was waiting online, I believe, for a photo op with I thought it was Ralph Macchio, but it might have been, I forget who it was who was on photo op line for. And he had to come out of the room. He had the mask on. We hugged, embraced, talked a little bit about our rides there. And I thanked him. I was like, hey, man, thank you for all the nice words you've said about me over the years, the few collaborations we've had. You know, it was really nice to kind of meet him in person. Just such a nice, humble guy. Of course, rocking his tank top. I know he's a big tank top guy. He was waiting online to meet David Arquette like 7 a.m. Really, really fun stuff. And it was just such a pleasure to meet you, man. I'm sorry. I will say this. I'm sorry my hair is sticking up a little bit in this photo. We had just walked to good pizza, and it was windy, and my fucking hair was all weird. So I kind of ruined this photo, my hair being a little bit too long. Knight had the right idea. He had a hat on. But, you know, it is what it is. It was really nice meeting him, just the nicest guy in the world. And it was just a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Nightwatch Zone. He did a video recapping his whole Monster Mania experience, if you haven't seen that. And he did show the same picture of us meeting. So it was really cool stuff. Met a bunch of really, really nice people, fellow horror fans, and it was just a really, really nice weekend. Overall, I had a great time. Let's see. Yeah, I guess I should have bought the Sleepaway Camp Blues. I'm still rocking the Anchor Bay pack. Hell yeah. But those transfers are not up to scratch. Luckily, those flicks stream everywhere. Yes, they do. And, you know, that survival kit, that old school survival kit was just the coolest thing to have in the day. I remember they had the 4th bonus disc, like, oh, Sleepaway Camp 4, The Survivor. And it was just like raw bonus footage, and it wasn't any good, but it was like, oh, dude. And then there was the Red Cross edition, which I know AJ has from his friend RJ gave that to him. And it was just a really cool, like, that's the thing to have, because Best Buy had to recall the ones with the Red Cross because Red Cross got pissed and all of these things. So I don't know. I just always thought that was kind of funny. I think that's a horror landmark, that set. It really is. It's one of the coolest sets ever. And me being the biggest sleepaway camp fan ever, I don't have that set. So that's one of these days I should get. I have the DVDs individually, but I never got the box itself. That was like Best Buy exclusive. I want to say circa like 2004. So that's an oldie, man. I mean, I was at the ripe old age of 7 or 8 in 2004. So crazy. You have the Red Cross one. Okay, cool. Bought it in Toronto. Very nice, man. Very nice. But yeah, no. So that was my convention story. I hope I didn't hold too long. I know we went about 25 minutes, but we're gonna get into the movies. I promise. I just wanted to figure I'd show stuff up and kind of just thank once again thank Ryan, thank everybody that made that weekend fun and possible, and all the cosplayers, all the craziness. I had a very very nice time. But we are going to lead ourselves into the graveyard tonight. We've got not one, not two, but 3 Exploitation Explosion Volume 2 classics to be discussing. And the first one, speaking of Toronto, is a Canadian film. Yes, from director Jason Eisner. This is Hobo with a Shotgun. Yes, Rutger Hauer stars. May he rest in peace. Got a brief plot synopsis. A vigilante homeless man pulls into a new city and finds himself trapped in urban chaos, a city where crime rules and where the city's crime boss reigns. Seeing an urban landscape filled with armed robbers, corrupt cops, abused prostitutes, and even a pedophile Santa, the hobo, Rutger Hauer, goes about bringing justice to the city the best way he knows how, with a 20-gauge shotgun. Mayhem ensues when he tries to make things better for the future generation. Street justice will indeed prevail. Yes, Hobo with a Shotgun. One of my all-time favorite modern-day exploitation movies, because this is one of those movies to me that really just organically came to be. Now, if people remember, of course, in 2006, 2007, around that time, circa that time, they were coming out with the Grindhouse double feature. Of course, Planet Terror and Death Proof, Rodriguez and Tarantino. This was going to be the big double movie blockbuster, double feature of exploitation and boobs and blood and mayhem and guns and violence and car chases and all of these things that made old school exploitation what we love it to be. And of course, one of the fake trailers produced was this one right here, Hobo with a Shotgun. They shot it for about $150, and for some reason it caught fire. And I believe in Canada, they would show that trailer first because that was a Canada trailer. It was made in Canada by Jason Eisner and friends. So they made that trailer, and then all of a sudden, a few years later, and the rambling started up is, why not actually make the movie now? Like, we've done the trailer. Same thing with Machete. We've done the Machete trailer. Why not make Machete the movie? We've done Hobo the Shotgun the trailer. Why not make the movie? And of course, they get Rutger Hauer to play the Hobo. They get Brian Downey to play the legendary Drake, who he is just a wonderful villain in this movie. Of course, he has his 2 sons, Slick and Ivan. Of course, you have Abigail, the hooker with the heart of gold, if you will. And I don't know, to me, this movie is just everything a great exploitation movie should be. Basically tells the story of Rutger Hauer, who he's rides in from town to town on a train. You have this great old school music and a film that looks like it was shot in like the early 1980s in Technicolor. I mean, it has that look, that tone, and that feel to it that an old school grindhouse movie would have. And this movie also delivers on what it's trying to deliver. There's a ton of gore. There's a ton of insane violence and mayhem. There's just a ton of crazy over-the-top lines and characters and special practical makeup effects. In a day and age where we live in all their CGI and there's all this, gore that is not there, digital gore. This is a movie that says, the hell with all that. We're going to be fun. We're going to be exploitative. We are going to be Hobo with a Shotgun. We're going to deliver justice one shell at a time. And I love how they really creates this world of Scumtown or Fucktown or whatever town you want to call it, as the hobo goes from block to block seeing all these crazy things. There's one guy who will pay you $10 to degrade yourself if you chew glass, if you beat up a homeless person, if you torture yourself or stab yourself. He'll pay you $10 as long as you let him film it. Just a sicko. There's a guy who's a pimp and he's selling all these underage prostitutes. There's no time for doing homework, bitch. You got to get up on the street and make me some money. We got him. We have fucking a pedophile Santa that sits in his car and waits to abduct children from a fucking playground. We have the Drake that runs it all and makes it all possible. We have these underground arcades with cocaine and bumper cars that you use to smash people's heads in. This is a movie that fucking has balls. And that's why I love this movie. For lack of a better term, this movie has balls. It is very risque, even for 2012. This would have been crazy for 1970s, 1980s, the era where exploitation horror and exploitation grindhouse cinema was really bumping. This is a movie that really goes throwback, but it really doesn't lose its balls in the process. A lot of that happens, when you move along into the newer era. These films, they can lose their cojones. And if they lose their cojones, you're not being exploitative enough. And if you're not being exploitative enough, you're not going to deliver a good exploitation film. And I think Jason Eisner knew that. Now, Jason Eisner had come from making films like Treevenge and a lot of short films that are a lot of, gory films. Of course, he went on to work on VHS 2 and the Alien Slumber Party Massacre. And he also, in my opinion, is the creator of the greatest television show on TV right now, and that's Dark Side of the Ring, where every week they take a look at a wrestler or an event or a circumstance in wrestling's history, and they turn it dark. That they talk about the horrors of pro wrestling. Me being a big pro wrestling fan, at least I used to be, I love that show. I love hearing about the tragedies of wrestling. I know it sounds morbid, but it's very, very entertaining to watch. It's very interesting, very informative, very good television, in my opinion. So it's cool to see that he went from, hardcore, gory exploitation and a found footage horror segment, and now he's doing, Dark Side of the Ring wrestling. He's very well-rounded, Jason Eisner. And this film is just a ton of fun. Of course, you have the hobo. At first, he's trying to buy a lawnmower. He is honest about it. Need money for lawnmower. I want a job to cut grass, to be a landscaper. Of course, that's what he's writing. People throw spare chains at him like he's nothing. And one day, the hobo just snaps. He sees this woman and her baby having guns pointed at their heads, the storefront having a gun pointed at his head, and he makes a decision. He just snaps, grabs a shotgun, and shoots these 3 criminals and tells them, keep the change and spread the news. Blows this guy's head off. And you have a very fun exploitation rampage scene where the hobo goes all around town killing these people. Of course, the guy that makes you degrade yourself, the pedophile Santa, the cocaine dealers, all of these people, the pimp, all of these people that are doing horrible things and making the town horrible. Rutger Hauer decides, I'm going to deliver justice one shell at a time. I'm stop begging, I demand change, motherfucker. And Rutger Hauer starts blowing these people away one by one with a shotgun. A lot of fun. And the music is very old school. The perfect fucking music for this movie. It's just sensational. It really is. It fits like a glove. And, there's a fun montage where he's killing all these. He kills the pimp. Bitch, you better get up on the street and make me some money. Come on, baby. You want a kiss for daddy? He goes in for the kiss and the shotgun's in his mouth and go home to someone who loves you. But you're fucked. Boom, blows the pimp away 3 blocks and his head flies off. Of course, you have these 2 cocaine dealers playing cards. And the loser gets 3 whores that are, tied up with chains and being stabbed to death. Schoolgirls in chains, or cocaine. The winner gets the drugs. And of course, Rutger Hauer walks in, pretends he's the one of them, and then blows them. Hallelujah. Boom, starts blowing them away. Absolutely crazy. It's just a lot of fun, this movie. Now, we got a ton of comments. Let me get to the comments here. Great fucking time, dude. I got to go through, dude. Gotta go, though. Have a good night. Dude, thank you for checking out the show. I appreciate it. Hobo the Shotgun, one of the best films ever, in my opinion. Love it, too. Master Fear is here. What's going on, Fear? Planet Terror and Death Proof are just awesome films. Completely agree. Nice. Hobo the Shotgun was filmed not far from where I used to live in Canada. That trailer was Grindhouse there. Long time since I have seen it, but it was fun and as hell and stylish. Completely agree, brother. Completely agree. So glad this fake trailer became a reality. The movie is an ultra-violent masterpiece. Death Proof is incredible as well. Completely agree. I love the fake trailer they made. So do I. And funny enough, they used a different actor to play the hobo, and he actually shows up in this as the police chief. Now, they wanted him to do it, and he apparently just didn't want to do it. He was like, I don't think I have it in me. He seemed like a weird guy. And they said, okay, let's work on this. Like, who do you think could imitate you best? And the guy said Rutger Hauer, and they got Rutger Hauer to agree to this. So really cool enough. They bring in a big star in Rutger Hauer, and he gives a wonderful performance in this. Exactly, Ronnie. Yeah, no, you got to do exploitation right. You cannot let the balls fall off. When Ivan says, it's a beautiful day for a skate rape, my jaw was on the floor. Dude, that is one of the funniest lines in the movie. Jason, yeah, I agree, man. Make some more, man. And it's funny. It's on the documentary, the making of this. At the end, he says, I hope they allow me to make feature films down the road. He's not made a feature-length film since. This is it. He's done a lot of shorts. He's done a lot of things like that. The Dark Side of the Ring, which is a great show. But, man, I want some more. I'll give you another exploitation movie. Try a slasher movie. I would be all in to see whatever he does next. Mateo's in the house. Ciao, Grande. Rutger did 3 great movies, Blade Runner, Lady Hawk, and Dracula 3D. Well, 2 great movies. Of course. Lady Hawk, you mean Nighthawks, right? Nighthawks with Stallone. I love that movie. Stallone, Hauer, great, great, great flick, man. Welcome to the show. The opening music in Hobo the Shotgun is beautiful, no lie. I think all of the music in this movie is beautiful. It's a really nice score soundtrack, bringing you back to the old days of the 1970s and grindhouse exploitation cinema. I really like that. And of course, after all this, destruction caused by the Hobo, Slick and Ivan decide they're going to one up the Hobo. They take some boom boxes and a flamethrower, and they waltz right up to a fucking school bus of children. And they get on the school bus, and of course, do you kids like ice cream? Do you guys like school? Yeah. Do you guys like hobos? And they go, yeah. And I hate hobos. Burns these kids alive with a fucking flamethrower on the bus. I saw that. I was like, holy shit, the gloves are off. That's what I mean by this movie having balls. Not a lot of movies are going to go there. Not even the most hardcore of exploitation movies are going to go to, let's burn a school bus of kids alive. And they go there, and it's kind of played comical. Like burn, baby, burn. Disco Inferno is playing in the background, and these children are screaming for their lives. You're just like, holy shit. Now, fun fact, the first day of filming this movie, they filmed that scene. And the actors that play Slick and Ivan, they were sitting in the interview and they say, man, you can tell the tone of how a movie set, how the production's going to go on your first day of filming. He said, well, on my first day of filming, we burned a school bus filled of children alive, and you're just like, oh my God, like, holy shit. Like, could you imagine that to be day number 1 on the job? Like, holy shit, man, absolutely crazy. That's one that, like, I'll never forget watching it with a bunch of people around the time this came out. And a lot of people told me to turn it off. They were like, oh shit, this is fucked up. Turn it off. So you got to watch who you watch this movie with. Like, if they're not into this type of movie, that could really offend somebody. So I highly warn you, if you haven't seen the movie, you're going to watch it with some normal people. Give them a heads up. This is not a normal movie. Jason Eisner did that last VHS 2 segment, which was really good as well. Dude deserves more chances. Completely. Hello, the fucking ball. It's really out there, man, how much they go for it. And of course, there's a lot of fun other things in this movie. There's the great scene in the apartment where the Hobo battles Slick and Ivan. It's a great day for a skate rape. And he comes in and he's like doing all these kung fu kicks with skates on. And the one of the brothers, they carves into Abigail's neck and she just bleeds everywhere. Insane. There's a lot of fun with these 2 tandem right here called the Plague. And they're torturing and killing all these people. They're like video game arcade characters, but they come to life in this film. Just this crazy, crazy pandemonium and chaos is going on. And then it leads kind of this crazy finale where Brian Downey is trying to assert his dominance as the Drake. And it's a very big feeling finale as the Hobo and the hooker with the heart of gold, Abby, fight the Drake in this entire town, and of course the shotgun is the primary weapon here. I think this is a wonderful film. I really do. And I think even for an exploitation film, that's a lot of fun and you'd think turn your brain off. I do think it has a nice enough point. There's one point where Abigail tells them, she says, hey, you can't solve all the world's problems with a shotgun. And the Hobo just replies, that's all I know. And there's a great scene where he's looking at all of these newborn babies and he's looking through the glass, almost sad. And he says, people look at you and they see a bright future. They think, hey, he might be a lawyer. She might be a doctor. You guys might save lives, all of these things. And of course, he says, but if you grow up here, if you grow up in this town, scum town, you'll wind up selling your bodies for money. You'll wind up, playing a fool. You'll wind up being trash. And that's what their future is. And it's a very sad scene as he looks at these, newborn babies and just in total like sadness is like, man, this is so sad. Like they're never gonna have a chance unless I do something, unless I deliver some justice. And of course, the hobo goes to the finale, crazy battle with the Drake and the Plague and all of these other third parties. A lot of fun. Of course, they play the classic song at the end, "Run with Us" by Spray, and any Canadian knows that song, knows what that's from. I don't even have to say it. I want one of my Canadian viewers, if I have people in the house, because I know I'll have a couple people in the house as opposed to before. And my Canadian people, please tell me what song that is from, because I know you know. But yeah, no, that "Run with Us," amazing song by Spray, a great, kind of roll credit song. And in my opinion, this is just a great overall movie. It has everything that an exploitation movie should have. It is offensive. It is gory. It's over the top. It's entertaining. It's quick. It's an hour and 22 minutes when the credits start to roll. Hour 26 movie, 4 minutes of credits, 100, not even 100 minutes, an hour and 22 minutes, a really, really quick run time. But a damn entertaining movie in that too. I really love Hobo with a Shotgun. To me, everything exploitation horror cinema should be. And I know this is not technically horror, but to me, exploitation, it's my favorite genre. It's why I love movies. It's just a big, big reason why I love movies. And this is a big love letter as to, the old school exploitation movies, which we're going to get into one next in the Candy Snatchers. But this is a nice love letter to that era of grindhouse drive-in movies. To me, Hobo with a Shotgun is a 10 out of 10. I love this movie. Just a wonderful time, a great, great entertaining movie. And I want to highly, highly recommend, if you have not checked this out, Rutger Hauer is the Hobo with a Shotgun. Love this movie. Let's see. Got a couple of comments here. When Ivan hits the skates against the toaster, and yeah, he's like, "I just fucking came." Funny as hell. That speech he says about the bear. Oh my God, the bear. Yeah, that's right. Funny enough, that wasn't much writing. Now, the original guy that played the hobo, he actually feels that way about bears. They interviewed him on the making of it, and he's going on about this monologue, and they said, "We actually fucking stole that from him. He's just obsessed with bears." And we said, "Fuck, we'll throw it in the movie." And that's basically why that monologue's in there, is because of the original guy. And Rutger Hauer delivers it wonderfully. Oh my God, the neon lighting and synthwave soundtrack is legendary and my jam. I love the neon light. It's really a film that feels like it was shot in Technicolor. Like it looks Technicolor-ish. It's blotchy. It's not slick at all. And it shouldn't be. Exploitation shouldn't be slick. It should be fucking blotchy. And it is. It's very colorful, very gory, very creative. It's one of those movies you watch it and you see that the heart and soul that went into making it. It's one of few exploitation movies that I feel like has a nice heart to it. And it's not something I generally look for exploitation, but when it's there and I see the care that was put in, and especially the passion that a Jason Eisner and all of his buddies have, I just thought it was a wonderful breath of fresh air. Really love Hobo with a Shotgun. 10 out of 10. I would agree. I love Hobo with a Shotgun. I think it's a great, great exploitation movie. But coming up next, this is from the year 1973. This is from director, I think, Ruben Trueblood. This is the Candy Snatchers. Yes, the Candy Snatchers. A mute autistic boy stumbles upon a teenage girl who has been kidnapped and buried alive by 3 young psychopathic criminals intent on extorting diamonds from her rich stepfather. Yes, the Candy Snatchers. Now, this is, for the longest time, was a really undersung exploitation film. And I believe, of all people, Quentin Tarantino kind of broke this up. He kind of brought this movie up and showed it at his cinema, the Beverly Hills Cinema, I believe. And this is one of those movies that kind of, through word of mouth, started getting more and more people to watch it. And of course, the movie kind of just garnered, slow but surely, a cult following. And then, of course, Vinegar Syndrome, who's having a big sale tonight, put out this Blu-ray. And, this thing kind of had a little bit of a fan base. Now, I didn't get in on that rare exclusive slipcover. I wish I had. But the movie itself is a really, really solid exploitation film. And a big reason I wanted to discuss this one on Exploitation Explosion Volume 2 is because it's an exploitation film that does everything different than how you would think it would go. Like, I just gave a brief plot synopsis. It's 3 people. They kidnap good old schoolgirl Candy, who's Miss American Pie and, sweet as can be, all of these things. They kidnap her in this freaking van. They're all wearing, I always say like the Jean Shalit disguise, but it's technically not. I believe it's a different person. Of course, the nose and the big glasses, the goofy disguises. They take her, bury her in the ground with a little tube in her mouth so she can breathe, and then pretty much demand her father give them millions of dollars in diamonds. Otherwise, she will die a slow, cruel death and suffocate. Now, you hear that synopsis, you go, I think I can play out this movie in my head. I'm sure Candy's going to get raped. No, but somebody else gets raped. I'm sure, the person's going to race to get her in time. A similar vein to movies like Taken, and similar movies to, like I want to give a bad example here, but like movies basically where it's person A is trying to get person B back. There's tons of movies like that. Taken, for some reason, is the first one that comes to mind. You would think it's that type of movie. It's not that type of movie. You would think, our criminals, they're going to be, all just evil and sinister and, nothing other than that to them. Not necessarily. They actually all have some different character arcs going on and are very quite different on paper than what you would assume them to be. And as this thing plays out, there's a lot of twists and turns, and it makes it very unpredictable. In my opinion, making it unpredictable made it very much more watchable and intriguing for me as a viewer. I really liked watching the Candy Snatchers because, like, you see this cover even. It looks like something like an alternate Last House on the Left cover. It does. There's Krug, there's Weasel, there's Sadie, here's fucking, of course, Mary, and she's going to get tortured, blah, 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 blah. None of that happens. None of that happens at all. And that's what I thought was really, really interesting about this one. You didn't talk about the Plague. I did mention briefly our fucking awesome Hobo with Shotgun. I love them too. Hobo with Shotgun sounds like a version of Harry Callahan movie. Yeah, no, totally. It's a great one. I love Hobo with Shotgun. But back to Candy Snatchers. Now, of course, they tell her father, hey, we've got Candy. You've got 38 minutes to make the drop, blah, 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 blah. And basically a twist here is I don't care about Candy. I may be her father, but I'm her stepfather. And if she dies before the age of 21, I will inherit all of her money. So now the protagonist takes a heel turn. He's not even worried about coming back to get Candy. Let her suffocate. I get fucking $4 million. I can inherit this, man. Let her die. Crazy. You don't expect to see that in a movie like this. So our antagonists are like, shit, what are we going to do? And so they dig her up and they put her in this like little cabin, and they're like, man, what are we going to do? Like, we're going to have to hold a ransom somehow. And they even wait at times for this guy to come, and they are trying to figure out why he's not coming. They don't know. There's one point where we've got to threaten him. We've got to, cut off a body part. Similar to Big Lebowski. I can get you a fucking toe, dude. Similar to Big Lebowski. We got to cut off her ear. And they're all arguing, should we cut off her ear? Should we not? They're getting closer and closer to her ear. And that's, of course, the slipcover. They're going to cut off her ear. The one guy goes, wait a minute. I'll do it. It's my knife. I'll cut off her fucking ear. And he goes to do it. And she goes, wait a minute. We can't do this. They keep stopping each other. Most exploitation films, they just go there. Let's cut off the ear. This one, it takes a little bit of a turn. Hits you with a left when you think you're going to get it right. Let's go to a morgue and buy a body part to show to the fucking father. So they go to this morgue and have this whole scene with this guy, this orderly, where they're trying to buy a body part for him. And they're like, hey, how does $20 sound for your freshest ear? And the guy goes, $20 for an ear? He goes, I just sold a finger for 35. And he's, kind of walking off, late night in the morgue. And they're begging him, how about 40? How about 50? They keep going up. He's like, all right, $50. And he cuts them off an ear. And then they send it to the father. And he's just laughing. He's like, I don't care about this. This is nothing to me. I want her dead. Which I thought was an interesting kind of swerve on this type of movie. I thought that was really cool. Now, our lead antagonists, I think, are all fairly good actors, and funny enough, Tiffany Bowling plays Jessie. She's the main like lead of these criminals. I think she gives the performance of the movie. She's wonderful. How gray she is, and just how mean she could be in one movement and tough she could be in one movement, and just how sinister she is. I mean, she was just very good as the heel in this. I thought she was wonderful. Of course, funny enough, she did an interview and basically said she hated this movie, it was a piece of shit movie, and it ruined her career, all of these things. Really a shame, because I think she's the best performance in the movie. I think she's the best character in the movie. And then, of course, we have our two sidekicks here. One of them is pretty evil, but the other one has like a heart. And there are scenes where he's talking with Candy and sympathizing with her. And Mr. Please, if you just let me go, and please. And he's like, listen, we're not going to hurt you. I promise we're not going to hurt you. Like I don't care what they say. I promise we're not going to hurt you. And he's sincere about it. And he does not hurt her. Of course, there's a scene where the lead woman, she's bullying all of them and ordering them around. And she's like, get out of my way, big guy. And he's like, what are you going to do about it? And she's like, I'm your boss. And he's like, yeah, but I'm bigger than you. And they have this really intense stare down, villain and villain, and he fucking rapes his own partner. And you're like, holy shit. Like, I didn't see that coming. Like, what if fucking Last on the Left, instead of raping the two girls, Krug raped Sadie? Like, holy shit. Like, you just don't see that shit coming. Like, and just when you're about to have sympathy for this guy for being a little bit about having a heart and, don't worry, Candy, we're not going to hurt you. He goes out and does that. And you're just like, holy shit, man. Like, this movie is fucking crazy too. It's not going to cut off her limbs, but, villain is going to rape villain. Holy shit. Like, you don't expect to see that in any movie, let alone this type of exploitation movie. So I thought that was interesting. You do, of course, have this mute autistic kid who finds Candy buried in the ground. And of course, he has a horrible life. His parents are abusive and mistreating him. And he's trying to tell them that, Candy is buried in the ground, but because he's mute, he cannot. And because they're such horrible people, they don't even think twice to listen to him. So that's a very sad angle in this movie. And I don't know, I just thought what I liked about this movie was how different it was for exploitation. Like, when I started it, I thought I was going to get one movie and I got completely another one. And honestly, in that vein, I was very excited and happy with the movie I got. And it's a movie that, like I said, has garnered a big cult following over the years. Like, I know, they do that series Trailers from Hell, and Darren Lynn Bousman put this movie over, and he discussed that Quentin Tarantino made fun of him at a party for not seeing this movie. And I was like, wow, like, that is so crazy. You got berated by QT at a party for not seeing this movie. That's why you got to know your cinema, man. I know there's a lot of people who go, Candy Snatchers, what the hell? I don't want to watch that. Watch it, man. You got to dedicate yourself. That's the big thing with exploitation. That I always like. I always like to dip into different exploitation movies. And this is one that I thought was a breath of fresh air because it did everything different. Now, there is a batshit crazy finale. There's a batshit crazy shootout finale. I don't want to give too much spoilers. This is one I feel like people do need to see, although the cult following is there. But I don't know. Overall, I think this is a really well-directed film. I think the director, Mr. Trueblood, I think he does an awesome job. Unfortunately, he did not go on to direct anything else. Funny enough, he went on to do screenwriting for Jaws 3, which is my favorite Jaws sequel, funny enough. A lot of TV work. I believe he directed Savage Bees, which is a TV movie. Absolutely love Savage Bees. I'm a big fan. I think he did a really good job, and I wish he had done more exploitation films like this, because this is one of those movies that I watch and I go, that's why I love exploitation, but for completely different reasons. Like, it's similar to the movie I could compare it to is Christmas Evil. Funny enough, another one Vinegar Syndrome put out. It's when you hear that movie, you think Killer Santa Claus. And that movie's not really okay. At the end, he's dressed up as Santa Claus and he does kill one or two people, but it's not a Killer Santa Claus movie. It's not a slasher movie. And a lot of people watch Christmas Evil and go, I don't like it because of that. I thought I was going to get one thing and you gave me something else. How dare you? I don't really see it that way. If you give me something else that I like and is different and is something I haven't really seen before done in an exploitation film, personally, I'll be all for that. I know there are a lot of people that won't, though. Probably people say, why didn't they cut off her ear? They should have cut off her ear. It's an exploitation film. I get it. But how many Reservoir Dogs, mentioning QT, they cut off the fucking ear in that film. There's a crazy shootout at the end of that film. There's a lot of inspiration that you could see from a movie like this to a Reservoir Dogs, in my opinion. So I don't know. I just think all that is very, very, interesting. And this is a big reason why I like to watch exploitation films, because every now and again, there'll be one like this that just really surprises me and takes a lot of fun twists and turns. Of course, it is distinctly 1970s, and that's why I love it. That's my big, that was when 1970s is when exploitation grindhouse movies were popping. And this is one of those movies that I feel fits in right with that era. It's just wonderful to watch. Really like the Candy Snatchers. Highly recommend this one if you have not seen it. The Candy Snatchers, since you mentioned it, Tarantino seems to be a fan. I might have to watch it as well. Yeah, no, it's a really good one. Trailers from Hell is my shit. Me too. Christmas Evil is a very young Patricia Richardson who later became known as Jill Taylor in the whole. Yes, and of course Brandon McGarth is the lead, who I think gives one of the great performances in the history of horror. I mean, I love Brandon McGarth in that film, and by the end, he basically becomes Santa Claus. I mean, such a great movie. I love Christmas Evil, but this is another one. And by the way, I have discussed Christmas Evil on the channel before for anybody who wants to watch past episodes. The Candy Snatchers, this is one from Vinegar Syndrome. I know they're doing a sale tonight. This is one you could probably get if they still have it for cheap. I'm talking $5-10 range cheap. And I don't know. I think this is a damn good movie. I highly recommend this one. Has some really good special features. I think The Candy Snatchers is an excellent exploitation film from the year 1973. Highly, highly recommend you guys check that one out. Sorry that I don't have too much to say. It's just I haven't seen these films. Hopefully, I'll get to check them out eventually. No worries at all. I appreciate you even being here. I really do. But rounding out the show tonight, we are going to discuss a film from one of my all-time favorite filmmakers, and Mr. Lucky McKee, one of my favorite horror filmmakers of the modern day. And I won't lie, this is a movie I have briefly discussed twice on the show before. On the Overrated, Underrated episode, I discussed this. And a lot of people have told me, and flattering enough, have told me that's the best episode of Grande's Graveyard. Like, I had more than one person tell me the overrated versus underrated episode that I did, where I pulled the names out of the garbage can or the pumpkin, like people said that was their favorite. So I was really humbled by that. That was an episode that I just kind of pulled out of nowhere, and people seemed to really like it. So I was humbled. That one, I did mention this movie. I also mentioned this movie on the Lucky McKee special. This was back in the day when I didn't even have an HD camera, where I covered May, which I loved, The Woods, which I loved, and The Woman, which I do love. That was a bonus review, very small. So I figured it would only be fair to go more in depth on this one. Of course, it is from the year 2011. This is Lucky McKee's The Woman. Oh, here she goes. She's a man-eater. Gotta love Pollyanna McIntosh and the old school, bloody, disgusting artwork here. Very cool. And funny enough, Lucky McKee's wife did the artwork on the Arrow slipcover here. And then, of course, is the reversible cover art to the old school, cover art from Bloody Disgusting. Brief plot synopsis here. When a successful country lawyer captures and attempts to civilize the last remaining member of a violent clan that has roamed the Northeast coast for decades, he puts the lives of his family in jeopardy. Yes, The Woman. One of my favorite horror movies of the last 10 to 15 years. I mean, it's a wonderful film. To me, arguably Lucky McKee's best. I mean, I like May the best, and I would say The Woods is his most underrated. Now, is The Woods or The Woman? It's close. It's very close. I lean towards The Woman just because this is exploitation to me out the wazoo, and I love it for that. And it's funny enough, I meant to pull this up before, and I'm doing a little cheating here because I wanted to look into if people considered this an exploitation movie. I do, but a lot of people probably wouldn't. So I figured I'd look up the definition of exploitation. And the definition of exploitation, according to Google, the action or fact of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work. Yes, exploitation. That's the definition here. And of course, we follow Sean Bridgers as the father in this film. And, he takes this woman in from the wild. Of course, she was from Offspring, which is technically the original to this. This is a sequel, very loosely based. You could watch this without watching Offspring, or the horrible sequel, Darlin, from 2019. Don't waste your time with that piece of shit. You can largely skip both those movies. Pollyanna McIntosh is in the wild, and one day he captures her, throws this net on her, chains her up, and basically decides, we're going to teach her how to be a civilized woman. And I'm going to benefit from this. I'm going to get sex out of this. I'm going to get pleasure out of this. He's a real sick mofo because on paper, he presents himself as the everyday American family man. I'm a lawyer. I have the squeaky white, clean family. I have a beautiful son and two beautiful daughters. And, my son is going to be a basketball star, and everything that you could just do to make somebody look as uninnocent as possible makes us as the viewer realize he's anything but innocent. And this movie plays out, and it is fairly disturbing. That's why I really like this movie. It has a very nice, disturbing element and nature to it. As this guy takes his family down to see this woman, you would think a sick motherfucker, if he's going to do this, he's going to keep it to himself. He brings his whole family down to this basement where he's holding her captive and says, "Hey guys, look what I brought home." Like he was bringing home a fucking loaf of bread for the family. He's treating this woman like, she's their pet or something like that. And basically, he tells the kids, "Hey, we're going to teach her how to be normal. We're going to put her in a dress. We are going to feed her all of these things. We're going to teach her right from wrong." And this movie kind of plays out from there. And I got to say, the number one thing that stands out in this movie is the performance from Sean Bridgers as the lead heel. He is so scummy and evil. You just want the worst thing in the world to happen to him. And thankfully, spoiler alert, it does. He does get his comeuppance. He does get his just desserts. But I love Pollyanna McIntosh as well. I would say she looks like a native Mila Djokovic or something. Like she has the same face as Mila Djokovic. Pretty woman, but definitely like very Mila Djokovic looking like. Of course, you have Angela Bettis, who is, of course, in May, a longtime Lucky McKee collaborator. Of course, the Masters of Horror episode Sick Girl. She and Lucky McKee are great friends. She, of course, even directed Lucky McKee in her film called Roman. And, of course, Lucky McKee is the star, and then she stars as May in Lucky McKee's May. Very cool. They're best friends. Both directed each other in movies. Really cool. I mean, that's a friendship that knows no bounds to me. But man, this movie is just batshit. I mean, it is really uncomfortable. You, of course, have Lauren Ashley Carter, who plays the daughter in this movie. She's done a ton of good movies, like Jugface, which is a really good folk horror movie. She's done Darling, which not to be confused with Darlin with no G. Darling is like a Rosemary's Baby / Repulsion knock. It's a big Polanski knock, but it's one of those movies, the first time I saw it, I fucking hated it. And it's one of those, upon repeat viewings, it's grown on me. It may be Mickey Keating's greatest movie. It really might. It's just one of those movies that every time I watch it, I'm like, damn, I like it a little bit more now. So it's one of those things, but she's in that movie as well as the lead as Darling. She was a great performance in that. She was a great performance in Jugface. And she gives a great performance here as kind of the teen daughter who's afraid of her father. They insinuate sexual tension between the two, that he is maybe molesting her. But I do think a strong thing with this movie is a lot of the stuff that's disturbing is insinuated. Like the incest is insinuated. The molestation of the woman by the father is insinuated. The son torturing this woman and literally jerking himself off is insinuated. A lot of the exploitation elements are not shown in graphic nature. Now, is there some stuff? Absolutely. There's a scene where they hose the woman down and it's very uncomfortable. There's a scene where somebody gets cut in half. There's, a scene where a woman gets eaten alive. All of that stuff is shown. But some of the sexual stuff, I appreciate that they kind of hit the brakes there. I think Lucky McKee knew that if you show all of that, you can lose a little bit of the power that your film's going for. Sure, these things are going to be remembered, but is your film's message and power statement going to be captured? Now, I think you can lose that if you go too far. And I don't think Lucky McKee did here. Now, a lot of people will probably tell you also this is a feminist film. And yeah, I could see that for sure. But again, in a day and era where we live in, where a lot of films now are considered woke, I wouldn't look at this and go, oh, that's a woke film. No, this is a movie that the main message is not all monsters come from the wild. Some monsters wear three-piece suits, have the beautiful pearly white smile, are lawyers, and have this nice American family on paper. But behind the mask, behind the bullshit smile that they put on at work for you, they are evil and sadistic people. That's the message this is going for. And this is the furthest thing from woke to me. Like, I think, like for example, that new Predator movie, the Prey movie. I liked the movie. It's too woke at times. It's too much with this message at times, where her own tribe is against her and her own tribe beats her up. Like, no, like what? Like, that is unnecessary. Like, okay, you want to say the settlers? Okay. Her tribe had to be beating her up? Like no. Like, sometimes they give a protagonist too much to overcome and they don't suffer enough. Similar to this new Star Wars movie, the Rey character. She never had to overcome anything. If you have no kryptonite, you cannot overcome something. You can just be too overpowered and you're not that likable of a protagonist. To me, that's the biggest mistake you can make with a protagonist is not giving them a weakness, not giving them an arc, or not giving them something to overcome when the film reaches its final climax. And this is a movie that doesn't do that. In a lot of ways, I really like this movie for not being woke. I think in a lot of ways it's a feminist film, but it's not beating me over the head with it. And it's still an important and effective exploitation film on its own two legs. That's the difference. It's still disturbing. It's still fucked up. It's still a really good idea. In my opinion, an original idea to take this crazy woman from the wild, treat her like an animal, and then try to teach her how to be a lovely lady in a dress. I think personally that's a really good idea for a horror film for me. That's just one that I really like. That's wonderful that Lucky's wife did the Arrow cover. It's stunning. I agree. I think it's a wonderful cover. I remember you talking about this film. Yeah, no, this is a long time ago. I covered this one. One of the exploitation films of the 60s is a movie that The Lost World. It's not the sequel to Jurassic Park, but it is a movie based on the novel by Arthur Conan Doyle. Not one I've seen. Very cool though. I love the idea of that someone acting like they're the perfect human, but in reality they're a monster. Me too. I love that idea as well. And I think Sean Bridgers does a great job in the performance. I love it when the asshole villain. Yep. And this is one of those movies. May might be my favorite Lucky McKee, but The Woods is really freaking good as well. It's these three. It's The Woods, May, and The Woman. Those are his three best. I don't think he's made anything as just the Kindred Spirits, sort of a letdown. All Cheerleaders Die. It was a passion project. He's been waiting for that next big hit for a while to me. Like, I don't think he's made anything half as good as this since this. I really do believe that. I do love the guy, though. My question has always been, what is woke? To me, it's just for my definition of woke. Now, it may be different from others, so please don't quote me or whatever. My personal thing is when the political statements of a film get in the way of the film being entertaining on its own two legs. That's, to me, is being too woke. That's my thing. Like perfect example was the new Candyman movie. That movie didn't it's not the worst movie in the world because it had so much potential. Now, you had a wonderful director. Nia DaCosta did a great job. I loved some of the puppet animations using the shadow puppets of telling the origin of Candyman. Some of the music was fairly good. Some of the body horror was decent in the film. It had its moments. It had its potential. But it's a film where its political message and what it's trying to tell you got in the way of the movie reaching its full potential as a horror film. That's my stance. If you want to be political, get into the news world, get into the news business, become a politician. Really, because I don't think the horror world is for you. I think you can have political themes and messages. I think it's one thing to have a horror film with a political message attached. It's another thing to have a political message with a horror film staple attached. Why do you think people went to go see Candyman? It's the fucking name. It's Tony Todd. It's the classic origin. It was always you, Helen. It's the bees. That's why Candyman draws. It's an established entity of the 1990s as a slasher movie, as a urban legend folktale. That's why it draws. People didn't go to see Candyman to get a politic lesson. That's where you fall apart. And okay, all of our horror, it's going to be off screen. We're not going to show any of it because I'm Jason Blumhouse. Brutal, man. Show the kills. Go for it. What are you doing? That movie had the potential to be fantastic. It really did. And in a world where Candyman 2 and Candyman 3 are nothing special, those movies, I'll put them over just based on basic principle that you're not beating me over the head with a political message. That's my stance on woke. You can have your messages, you can have your social themes, your commentary, whatever. If it gets in the way and overpowers the film and you drown your film in it, your film is going to obviously suffocate. And that's how I feel about that. I was watching Tobe Hooper's The Toolbox Murders, and Lucky McKee got a special thanks in the end credits and put a smile on my face. Yes, they were very good friends. Now, people don't know that. Getting off on a little bit of a tangent here into woke, and of course, Tobe Hooper and Lucky McKee's friendship. Lucky McKee was really good friends with Tobe Hooper. And the reason that Lucky McKee got the job to do Masters of Horror Season 1, his episode Sick Girl, is because he and Tobe Hooper actually have like sleepovers. And Tobe Hooper was a huge fan of May, thought the world of Lucky McKee. And basically what happened was somebody dropped out. I forget if it was Craven or it might have even been Romero. Romero dropped out. And they were like, holy shit, we need somebody to fill this spot. And basically, Tobe Hooper said, why not Lucky? And Lucky was the newer guy on the block and made Sick Girl, which is a very, very fun episode about these two lesbian women. Of course, one of them is Angela Bettis. The other one is Erin Brown, a.k.a. known by porn watchers as Misty Monday. Those two just give a great, great back and forth performance. And I really like that episode. I think it's really good stuff. So it's nice to see that Tobe Hooper sort of passed the torch to a Lucky McKee. And I watched this movie and I see some of the great exploitation elements that were in films like Eaten Alive, that were in films like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that are in shades of the Funhouse. These exploitation elements that Lucky McKee is able to recapture here with this movie. And that's why I really like Lucky McKee's The Woman. I think he just does a wonderful job with it. Now, this thing, man, it is disturbing. There's a crazy scene to me, which to me comes full circle with Angela Bettis' character. There's a scene where she sees one of the chains is coming loose, and she takes a look and she looks at Pollyanna McIntosh, and they meet eyes. And Pollyanna McIntosh is like, "Don't say anything, bitch." She doesn't say this, but there's so much said without a word being said. It's all facial expressions. She's like, "Don't say anything, bitch. I'm gonna get out of here. I'll let you be." And her fear of her husband, her fear of this piece of shit husband of hers that cheats on her, beats her, treats her like garbage, and is a total misogynist. She says, "Hey, honey, look, the chain's coming loose." And he nails it back in. And as he's doing it, the two of them lock eyes, and the woman looks at her like, "If I get out, you are done. Like, you just sealed your fate, bitch." I love that scene. And later on, you wonder, why wasn't Angela Bettis spared? I feel bad for Angela Bettis. She's being beaten, all of these things. In a lot of ways, I think there's a message there that she allowed it, and then it's a sad, sad thing that a lot of abuse victims, they have the chances to get out and they don't do it. And I think that's a very interesting statement here. Now, one that I know could offend people. I'm sure people will not like to hear that. But again, this is an exploitation film. So if you're easily offended by these sort of things, I wouldn't watch The Woman. I'd go watch the fucking Care Bears and fucking have a bowl of fucking pistachios. That's what I would do if I was you. But of course, the entire craziness of this movie, of course, takes place where Lauren Ashley Carter, they insinuate that she's pregnant. And of course, her teacher comes to the home and she says, "Hey, listen, I think she's pregnant." And Sean Bridgers automatically is like, "You accusing me? You accusing me of raping my daughter? What kind of a sicko do you think I am?" And the teacher's like, "No, sir, please." And it just all escalates so quickly. He drags this woman by the hair, pulls her out to the barn. She gets eaten alive by this fucking thing. And it's like, oh my God, like absolutely crazy stuff. Excellent, excellent scene. There's a scene where Angela Bettis stands up to Sean Bridgers. "You can't do this to us anymore, Chris. I'm gone." And her acting, I think she's arguably the greatest actress alive. Like, and people laugh at that. I do think she's one of the greatest actresses alive. I mean, May is one of my favorite performances. Her portrayal of Carrie in the 2002 film is wonderful. Sick Girl. I mean, I love Angela Bettis. I think she's one of the great actresses of our era. And someone I'd love to have on Grande's Graveyard. I really would like to get in contact with her. I don't know anybody that knows her, though. She used to do conventions, but you don't hear from her anymore. She did that one movie a year or so ago, but that's it. So that's a shame. But, I just think, as an actress, she's super underrated. And this is the scene that really drives this home. They're arguing, of course, husband and wife, and she's trying to stand up to him. "You can't do this anymore. You're not cheating on me anymore. You're not beating me anymore." And she goes, "You can't do this." And you see for a brief second, she laughs. And a lot of people probably go, "Oh, she broke character. What a bad actress." I think personally, when you're very emotional and when you get angry or excited or whatever, afraid, happy, sad, whatever your emotion may be, when it's one extreme, another emotion can slip out. Like, I've had times where I'm yelling at somebody or I curse somebody out and I'll smile for no reason. And I'm mad. I'm mad as hell, but I broke kayfabe. I smiled. Why? Because when you're that emotionally enraged in whatever way you are, I think you can slip out another emotion. And Angela Bettis does that on purpose in this scene. Amazing acting. Amazing. She tells him off and then just laughs. And you're like, wow, like, why'd they keep that in there? I think that's done on purpose. I think that's how good Angela Bettis is. She channeled that raw emotion and real emotion came out. Really good acting. And then, of course, he punches her in the stomach, knocks her out. And you think I can't? I can! Yelling at her, just really crazy. Of course, he takes Lauren Ashley Carter out, and there's a great scene, which I did as the thumbnail for this, as he grabs her and he's cutting this great promo. You think you're going to get this? You think you're going to get that? And Lucky McKee does this great thing where he does this full 360 panorama shot around the two of them, and she's just crying, and he's intense and in her face and threatening her. Great exploitation filmmaking. So simple. Have a guy yell at his daughter and have the cameraman go around on a crane shot over and over and over at 360. So little, so simple, yet so damn effective in proving the point that this movie's trying to prove. I love that. I think it's wonderful. And then, of course, we get our finale where Pollyanna McIntosh, the woman, breaks out, kills the dirtbag son who was stabbing her and jerking off to it. You get the idea that son was going to grow up just to be like the father, a misogynistic piece of shit asshole. The son gets cut in half with a board. And then, of course, the father, bam, gets his heart ripped out, and Pollyanna McIntosh eats it in front of him. The true man-eater. Where's Hall & Oates at? Fantastic. I love the finale. And then the woman kind of takes the family and walks off, which I thought was kind of a fun way to end this movie. I don't know. To me, it's one of those exploitation movies that everybody needs to see because it's got everything going for it. It has a nice message that's not beating me over the head. Wonderful acting by Angela Bettis, Sean Bridgers, Lauren Ashley Carter. Great violence when it's there. Great suggested violence when it's there. It's very much under the surface, but you get the idea. The only gripe I have with this film is the soundtrack at times. There's a couple songs I think work wonderfully. Patient Satellite is my favorite song in the movie. Because if I'm cool, you would see the light. I mean, it's a great song. I love it. You also have some songs in there that don't work. When Lauren Ashley Carter's waiting at gym practice, and it's like, oh God, it's just a horrible song. I don't even want to fucking get into it. It's just an awful song. There's some of this that works musically and some of it that doesn't. But you know, it's one of those movies that I'm iffy on the soundtrack. Other than that, though, I love this movie. I wish they could have played Maneater from Hall & Oates. That would have been amazing. As she takes a bite of the heart. Oh, here she comes. Watch out, boy. Watch out, boy. That movie, that song goes perfectly with this film because she literally eats the man at the end and walks away with his children as we kind of fade to black. To me, a very important exploitation film and a film that most people really need to see. I highly recommend The Woman. I'm going to go with a 9 out of 10. I really love this movie. I don't know if I rated the Candy Snatchers. I would go like a 7.5 out of 10 with this one. I really like this one as well. So I just want to make sure I rated that one. Let's get into comments now. I get what you're saying. You're fine with some social commentary as long as it doesn't beat you over the head with it. Yeah, I just think like, okay, if I'm sitting down to watch a film, I want to be entertained. I want to, especially a horror film. I don't mind you having that political message. I just think there's so much more to making a horror film. And Lucky McKee got that. That's why I love The Woman. I mean, this is a really powerful horror film. It has its message, but again, it doesn't forget that it's a horror film. It doesn't forget to be exploitative. It doesn't forget to have great acting and psychology. I think, you know, Lucky McKee does a great job. I really do. Let's see. Is Lucky McKee sort of a protege to, yeah, no, he's totally a protege of Tobe Hooper. There's a fun, I don't know where it is, but there's a video on YouTube where he talks all about like how Tobe Hooper like brought him up in the business. It's a great listen, man. Lucky McKee is one of my favorite interviews of all time because he's just such a humble guy, and I love the films he makes. He really taps into the human element. Like movies like May is a movie about, you know, fitting in and the horrors of bullying and the horrors of rejection and the horrors of finally gaining your womanhood and then pretty much having the world slap you in the face, and you see how horrible the world can be and how terrible it is at times. That's why I love Lucky McKee. And this is one of those movies too, you know, with the whole feminist point and thing like that. I really like how this whole thing is done. I think it's a wonderful film. Let's see. I've had that happen to me. I've laughed while being super angry. Me too. That's why I think it's such a raw performance, because she's berating him. You can't do this to us anymore, Chris. And I'm walking out. I'm leaving you. And she laughs. And I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, that's why Angela Bettis is great, because it's real emotion. Like it's one thing for an actor to act angry, but she's acting angry and then it comes out. That's how into it she was. To me, it's a wonderful, wonderful performance. Yep, super real table and not bad acting whatsoever. Completely reliable, absolutely. And from what I've heard about the film, I kind of wish the dad would have died more slowly. I feel like having his heart ripped out would have been too quick for the shit he's done. Dude, that's one of those guys that totally deserves the comeuppance he got. I love him getting his heart eaten out. Frank Dormani's in the house, my guy. What's going on, good brother? Welcome to my graveyard. I definitely should watch this film at some point, but holy crap, that's wild. It is. It's on Amazon Prime for free. You could watch the 4K scan. This movie, the scan at Arrow did, unbelievable, unbeatable, wonderful, wonderful transfer. Highly recommend the special edition. Of course, this slipcover, awesome stuff done by Mrs. McKee. I think it's just an excellent, excellent edition from Arrow. And I love all the special features. I do want to get into some of those before we wrap here. If you get a minute, I would love for you to react to the first look of the new slasher I'm composer for, Phantom Fun World. Very cool. Just let me know if you want to. I'll tell you what, when we're off the air or live or whatever, if you want to send me the link, please do. That would be awesome, man. I would definitely check that out for you. But quickly before we wrap here, because I know this was a later graveyard, even though it wasn't the longest graveyard, we started late. Special features on this, very interesting. So there's a great making of. There's also a really interesting special feature where the movie premiered at some festival, and basically all the actors were there. And the movie ended, and some guy got up and started flipping out. This is trash. This is against women. This is a disgrace. In front of the whole cast and crew. This guy just went ballistic. And somebody filmed this guy, like on their phone, cutting a promo in this fucking film festival. It's just like, that's the craziest special feature ever. This film was so offensive to somebody. And at the premiere, that somebody got a fucking live reaction in front of the cast and crew and director. Like, could you imagine making a movie? You're at the opening premiere of your movie. You're so excited. You're hoping people's going to embrace your movie. And then all of a sudden, the movie ends, and instead of claps, you hear some fucking guy get up and just cut a fucking promo. Crazy stuff. I mean, that's why, that was such a cool special feature to see the actual guy just going crazy. You can also find it on YouTube. It's on YouTube. There's this guy, and they literally had to escort him out of the theater. He was like, whoever made this, you're a piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, he didn't watch exploitation horror films. See, you could get offended by this genre if you're, not into the genre. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, the people that consider themselves woke or that love the news, I don't think horror is for them. I don't, because they watch real horror every single day on the channel, the 11 o'clock news, whatever channel it may be. That's real horror. That's the real horror of this world. And I think it's funny because when it's portrayed in film, that's a disgrace. That's this, that's that. But you watch it in reality, buddy. Reality. This is fake. They're actors. No one was really raped. No one was really killed. No one was really had their heart ripped out and eaten. It's a film. It's entertainment. The news, that's real shit, brother. To me, that's far more disturbing and cause for to get up and cause a fucking scene and say this is bullshit. That's more of the reason to do. Not this. It's a fucking film. Like, if you didn't like the film, you didn't like the film. But to make a scene like that, totally uncalled for. Whether you disliked or loved it, I just don't think that's the time or the place. But crazy that this special feature on this, you could see the fucking guy get up and just pull on a rant. And also, funny enough, that this is not on the thing, but they tell the story of one woman fainted like a half hour into the film. So if that's not a way to sell your film, we had one fucking crazy snob pull a promo, and this other bitch fainted. Like, that is just a fantastic. I don't know. I just think that's fantastic. I really do. Let's see. Holy crap. Yeah, no, holy crap is right. Hope I can find a DVD because I don't want to pay for Amazon Prime. I've only really wanted to pay for Disney Plus. Disney Plus is awesome too. Yeah, no, I'll tell you what, if I could find a link for it, I will hook you up. But yeah, no, everybody, we're going to call it a night. I want to thank everybody for hopping on. Of course, we talked all things exploitation, The Woman, The Candy Snatchers, and Hobo with a Shotgun. 3 awesome exploitation movies. Of course, like I said, I showed all of my horror pickups, my Friday 5 mask and NECA figure. Really cool. And then, of course, this Chris Jericho plaque. Really like that. And then, of course, a couple flicks. My favorite all-time movie on VHS and a zombie movie that we're going to be doing very soon down the road. So I'm excited about that. But quick promo for next week. Next week, John Steele returns to the graveyard, and we will be discussing Tales from the Dark Side, Season 1. All of the episodes reviewed individually by me and Mr. Steele. I hope you guys will be there. I'm super excited for it. But until then, we will catch you next time. Bye. See you next time for the graveyard. Thank you so much, Fear. Appreciate you joining. Everybody, 2 sweet peas. Cheers to a happy, healthy, safe, wonderful weekend. Good night, everybody. 2 sweet peas, and we'll catch you next time.